Hey, welcome back to the show today. Ken Dunn here, and I've got an incredible guest with me. We're here today in the studio with Chris Swanson. Thanks for being here.
Great to be here.
Chris Swanson's the author of a brand new book called Tinman to Ironman, and we're going to spend some time to talk about this book. It's a fascinating story. I love what the title represents, but Chris, I think it would be good for our fans and audience here to talk about where the inspiration for the book started.
Well, I think the easiest place is to reflect on my own life. And I was born a tin man. And how it started was the way I was kind of brought into this world with the tools that I didn't know I had. But what I didn't have behind me was a machine pushing me. And so I had a number of failures. And you know, I tried to, on the outside, look like I had it all together. And story after story in the book explains how a lot of folks that are watching and people that we deal with have that same mentality where on the outside they look like they got it together, but on the inside they're crushed and they fall apart. Well, through my life and those failures, I desired to do something that's really going to transform that. And I became a triathlete, an Ironman. And
one extreme to the other.
One extreme to the other. And in that transformation of Tin Man, where I was shiny, but on pressure time, I would crush, I desired I paid off to become an Ironman. And on my first Ironman in 2007, a guy wrote on the corner of one of my banners that my wife made for me, "Swanson, you are no longer a Tin Man, you're officially an Ironman." And it stuck with me, and I thought, that's exactly it. Now they can never take that from me. You know, I started out shiny, but under pressure crumble, but now, you know, I've gutted it out through training and through all this. And so I just used that analogy and I applied it to every part of my life, you know, being a police officer and being a paramedic and growing up financially, I wasn't taught any lessons and I was in major debt. And all those lessons in life that I find that other people are still struggling with.
Right.
I thought, oh man, why don't they just apply in their life the things that I applied in my life to transform them from that shiny, crushed pressure to maybe not so good looking on the outside, but they're holding strong when the pressure comes.
Yeah, sure. So along the way, as we've gotten to know each other a bit, I've realized that in addition to being a police officer and in addition to being a great dad and an entrepreneur, you're an incredible inspirer and a speaker. And I've heard many people label you as a human transformation expert.
Right.
What does that mean, and why does that excite you? Why does that bring that smile to your face?
Because I love watching people fulfill where they want to be. But the problem is they don't know how to go from A to B. You know, they know where the next step is, but they don't know how to do it. And many times they just need somebody to grab them and say, this is what we're going to do.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of folks that don't have maybe the push behind them in their family. And so when I take somebody, and I'm telling you, people have just fallen into my life, and I've repeated this process hundreds of times and on all different levels. They just come to me and they say, listen, I don't know what to do. This is what I need. I need to pay off my debt. I'm bankrupt. I need to get my health back. I need to run my first 5K, or I want to run a marathon, or my kids are going off crazy. You know,
or fix their marriage.
Yes. Yeah, and what happens is you give them the plan, and then you build with them each step of the way. So now you have buy-in with them, and you watch them day after day transform. And then there's a point in time where they come back and they say, "You changed my life." I mean, and that is worth more money than anything that can happen.
Well, speaking of money, I know that your speaking schedule is getting booked up, and more people are reaching out to you and offering you very significant amounts of money to come and keynote and do trainings for their companies, for their groups and organizations. When you think back to the beginning of that policing career, way back in Michigan, when you were 18 years old, from there to here, is this surprising to you?
You know, I look back now, and I see the whole pattern. You know, it's kind of like, you know, walk a mile, see a mile. Back when I started this process, way back in, you know, when I was 18, and all those little gigs that I did and all those situations. And I was just telling the story today about how much violence I've seen and how many situations of sadness and tragedy and how much death. And then I look at all those and the speaking and all, and I see it all kind of play together until now.
Right.
And that's the kind of things that build credibility for me to go to crowds and say, listen, I have been where you're at. I know that what you're feeling is this, this, and this, and this is how you can flip it. And so looking back, it's not a surprise at all, because now I see the path. But when I was in it, I couldn't understand why.
Right. It was like being beaten over the head time and
That's
time
right.
again and wondering why all of the crap was happening to you.
But you know what? It was my transformation.
Right.
And I didn't realize it. In the next 20 years of my life is going to be an additional transformation. But all those things that you had mentioned, being the father and a husband and a police commander and all that, athlete and all, that's all part of what makes me who I am today. And I just want to share that. And by sharing that, people's lives are affected.
Does it give you an advantage over other speakers, or does it make you better prepared to help an individual going through or trying to get to transformation?
I would say yes, and here's why. Because I am fearless when it comes to a challenge, whether it's a physical challenge or a gigantic problem that we don't know how to fix. Because in our world, there's no option. I mean, you've got to make it happen, and there's no stopping. And that mentality transferred over into an Ironman. And that Ironman triathlete that you need to be, you cannot have the I don't know if I'm going to make it attitude. You either finish or die trying. And with that attitude and the tools that I've been given and all the experiences that I've learned, that comes off on stage. And I say to people, I just go to a different gear, and I go to almost like into a character mode that it speaks to the janitor walking by. You know, I see that as such an honor and a privilege, regardless of the venue, that those people there are chosen for a reason to hear a message that I've been challenged to give, and I want to use that opportunity.
So Tinman to Ironman has really already sold thousands of copies. A real blessing to you. What are these people going to take away from that book when they open the cover?
Two things. First of all, it's a self-assessment. They're going to look at different parts of their life, whether it's a health issue, a financial issue, a relationship issue, maybe it's a competition issue. A lot of people, they always talk about back in the day when they competed. Back in high school I was this, and back in college I was this, but now, I'm nothing. I don't feel like I have a purpose. Well, that's self-assessment. They have to realize what area in their life that they lack in. I compare it to like spokes in a wheel. You could have all these different spokes, say 6 out of 7 dialed in, but that 7th one, maybe your relationship with your kids is just broken. Mm-hmm. This book is going to come in and give you the tools to fix that. So it's identifying what area of your life, because a lot of people don't know they're sick until someone says, hey, you're sick.
That's right.
And the best medicine is to not get sick.
Right.
And so not only is it going to fix that one spoke, all the other ones, you can apply those same processes to say, okay, validation. I am doing what I'm supposed to do in this part of my life, but it's this part. The second thing that it does is it gives you a plan. It gives you a theme and an action step. So out of the 26.2 chapters, you are able to look at one and think, you know what? I struggle with selfishness. I'm going to listen to that story. I'm going to hear it. I'm going to understand it. And these are the 3 action steps that I can put into my life to keep from being selfish.
Right.
And I explain to you why being selfish is a problem. It may be a courage issue. It may be a pride issue. It could be discernment. All these different things out of 26.2 themes. Not everybody is going to struggle with all of them, but everybody struggles with some of them.
And you're not just telling people. You're actually showing them real examples from your life and the lives of others stories.
The best way to teach is to illustrate. There's no better. You could always teach somebody the objective theme or maybe a formula, but you wrap it with a story, they'll never forget that story. And so each chapter is a story, a very compelling one in my own life, and I know that because I've been there. So that story is wrapped around a theme, and at the end of that theme is 3 action steps, because I wanted to make the book so obvious and so easy to follow that it's a quick read and it's a quick fix, because a lot of people don't have time.
Right, exactly. Chris, people are feeling your energy and seeing you. They're going to want to get a hold of you. Company owners are going to want to have you come speak to their people and be at conventions. How do folks that are seeing this video get a hold of you?
Well, swansonleadership.com. That's kind of like the grand central station of communication. And on that are all those different ways that you can find, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, all those different social media sites. But it's the draw that people have to that site that not only gets me in contact with them, but they also get fed valuable information.
Lots of free, incredible resources on the site. I've been here in the studio today with Chris Swanson. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ken.
The author of Tinman to Ironman. The book's available in bookstores and online around you. It'll be a blessing to your life to pick it up.